Hey, what's happening? Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. It's Daryl here. It's not so bright and early anymore. It's about 11 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I am all dressed up. I'm ready to go. I'm actually just counting down the minutes till I walk out the door and head to my family's house for Thanksgiving. So I got about an extra 45 minutes. And I remembered that I had promised you guys a video about one of the worst Thanksgivings I ever had. Again, the purpose of this video is to highlight uh, how I wasted basically 2 decades of my life and all the bridges I burned, and how I ended up with nothing from using drugs. And this happened. This was about 22 years ago, I'd say. This is kind of the setup to it. I had burned all the bridges with my family. They had just gotten sick and tired of me coming over asking for money and making up excuses, and I burned bridges with them. And ended up moving in with a girlfriend, and the whole basis of our relationship was using and drinking, really. And she ended up getting a large settlement from a car accident. And lo and behold, about a week later, she got about 80 grand. And about a week later, she had no more use for me. And she kicked me out of the apartment. So I had nowhere to go. And I remembered one of my friends saying, hey, if you ever need a place to crash, you can always call me. So I showed up at his door with my car full of everything I owned. And he didn't answer the door. He wouldn't answer the freaking door. I'm out there in the pouring rain. It was like a cold autumn day, just like this in New England. And I wouldn't leave. I was out there for hours just pounding on the door. And he eventually opened up the door. And he let me move in there. But he wasn't actually staying there. It was a large five room apartment, 3 bedrooms actually. And it was a mess. It smelled funny in there, and he didn't really stay there. He stayed with a girlfriend. He just happened to be home that day when I needed a place to stay. So he told me, he says, dude, you can crash here for as long as you need to. And later that day, he took off, and because he lived with his girlfriend, and he just let me live in his apartment, this smelly 5 room, 3rd floor apartment. And little did I know, I kind of looked around the other bedrooms, and he had one bedroom set up as an entire grow room. It was all plants, pot plants. The whole grow set up with the lights and the timers and the feed systems and carbon dioxide systems, and these huge buds like this. That was the smell I was getting coming out of the other room there. He just made a mess of this apartment. There was piles of soil all over the carpets in this room, and he it's amazing how he was treating this place. And I lived there by myself, and I started thinking, if this place ever gets busted, because you could smell, the smell of this, and I started thinking, how convenient, he left me kind of watching over the timers and the feed systems and all that. But if this place ever got raided, I was going to be the one going down for it. But I needed a place to stay. My bedroom was a couch. I had a bedroom, another room in this place, and it had a couch basically in there. It didn't have any doors on the room. It had one door going into the living room and one door going into the kitchen. And there was no doors, so I had to hang blankets down from the doors, so I had some privacy. I had a cardboard box with my little color TV. This is back in the 90s, early 90s, I think it was probably. It had a little small color TV on a cardboard box at the end of the sofa. This old, like 20-year-old musty sofa that I used for my bed. Okay, let's go to Thanksgiving now. Kind of set you up with where I was living. And every Thursday, I was driving a truck. I was a Teamster truck driver, and every Thursday I'd get paid. So I got paid Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and I went out and I spent like every cent I had on rock and booze and going to the bar, And back then I had the kind of friends that they would come and find me whenever I had a paycheck. They'd hang out with me all night. The next day when I was broke, couldn't get a hold of them. Couldn't, just like the girl that got my girlfriend that got her settlement. And I look back and I'm mad at myself. I mean, I was such a sucker, but I was letting myself be played, and I would play other people too. Okay, so I went out and pretty much spent my entire paycheck, and I was out all night. And I left my car at a bar. I couldn't even remember where I left my car. And my family calls me up Thanksgiving morning. Daryl, are you coming over? Because they still wanted me to come over for the holiday, even though I had burned bridges with them. They didn't want me living with them or anything like that, but they still wanted to see me for the holiday. I hadn't completely, they still loved me. So they came over to the apartment. I hadn't slept all night. I was still drunk. I could barely walk. And I'm telling them, I'm like, I don't know if I could do this, guys. They were going out. My whole family was meeting at a restaurant to eat, a nice fancy restaurant for Thanksgiving dinner, so nobody had to cook. And they said, well, let's take you back to your car and get your car first. They didn't realize that I was that intoxicated. And they took me back to the bar, and I got the car, and we were out standing in the road talking right there. And they were like, well, when can we expect you? We're supposed to meet at the restaurant at 1 o'clock, so don't make sure you're not late. And I told them, I said, I don't think I can make it. I don't think I'm going to, once they had brought me to my car, that's what I needed from them. And then I told them, I don't think I can make it. Because I had this image in my head. I was still intoxicated. I was still like stumbling all over the place. And I was like, I can't go into a restaurant. I was all still geeking and pinned from smoking and everything. And, I was like, I can't do that. I couldn't imagine what trying to look normal in this restaurant, when I was still all messed up from the night before. And I still probably wanted to use that afternoon if I could find money. So they begged, they were like, please come on, Daryl, just come on, you can't miss Thanksgiving. And I ended up blowing them off and driving back home. This is what I did for the rest of that day, for Thanksgiving Day. Well, my family was all at this fancy restaurant, which they had begged me to meet them at. And I blew them off, and I wouldn't go there. I sat in that one room little apartment, that smelly apartment with the blankets over the doors and blankets over the windows. And it was a cold, rainy day like this. And, it had a dirty rug on the floor. And I sat there all by myself, watching that TV. We had no cable or no, I got like one station. I think like bowling was on, or some miserable show that I couldn't even stand was on, but I just had the TV on just for the hell of it. And I went across the street to the bodega, which was open, the little supermarket bodega, that's what they call them here in New England or New York City area. And I bought a can of chili and a bag of Fritos. And I went back, I threw it in the microwave. That was my Thanksgiving dinner. Seriously, sitting on that dirty couch, that dirty floor, in front of a little TV on a cardboard box in this dirty apartment with a whole grow room in the apartment, all by myself, eating Thanksgiving dinner alone, all hungover, miserable, didn't have a cent to my name, couldn't get any more money, didn't even have gas in the car. And that was one of the worst Thanksgivings I ever had. I'll never forget that, even though that was like 25 years ago. It was horrific. It was just miserable. I just got more and more sad and depressed. I couldn't be with my family because I was so messed up, and yet I was so lonely and depressed because I was alone. It was just like it was a no-win situation. There was no answer to it. I was just getting deeper and deeper, and it was just a black hole that I was in. It was a miserable, right now I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, thank God I am clean and sober now. For the last 18 years, I've been clean and sober, and my life is freaking amazing. I can't wait to see my family today. I'm driving over to my mom's house, and I'm getting in the car with my mom, my stepfather, and we're driving to my sister's house, where my sister and her husband have already cooked a big turkey and all the trimmings and everything like that. And we're all going to sit down for the afternoon and talk and have a great meal. And it's been 18 years. I've been clean and sober, and my relationship with my family is freaking amazing now. They let me have the keys to their places. They trust me. I don't borrow money from them anymore. When I go out, I treat them now. Whenever I take my mom or my sister out, I'm the one that treats them. Well, not all the time, if my sister's watching this. My sister's very generous and she pays a lot of time. But anyway, that's it, man. Recovery is possible. My life has been incredible for the last 18 years. Recovery is possible. Have a good Thanksgiving.